Hey y'all, today I wanted to explain my level-to-level trading methodology because I think it creates a really solid foundation for any trading system. You can combine this with other indicators and concepts to create a really powerful edge in the market. This is the system that I use to day trade for consistent income, so I am really excited to share this with y'all. First, I'm going to show you my charts, and they are pink and purple and blue and really pretty, but there's actually a lot of reason for all of this madness. So I keep the candles pink and blue just because I prefer it over the harsher green and red, but I always color code my levels so that I never have to second guess when we come up to one if it's one that I should be buying or selling or taking really seriously. And I'm not going to cover how I get all of my support and resistance levels in this video because I'd like to take a really deep dive into it another time. But for today, I'm just going to let y'all know that when I find a really, really strong level of support or resistance in the market, I mark it pink. If there's another level that also looks pretty strong, but I don't have as much confidence in it, I mark it purple. And if there's another level that looks like it could get some potential interest in that area, but I'm not super sure about it, it looks like a weaker level, I still mark that in purple, but I make that line thinner. So on my chart, you'll see the thin purple weakest levels, and then the more medium levels are the purple levels, the regular size purple levels, and then the pink levels are the very strongest. When I end up with a zone, if I have two levels that both look really powerful and they're in the same area, I'll mark that with a box. So just visually, it kind of creates a zone, and that way I know that that's definitely a zone when we get there. When we're at zones, we have to be more careful with our entries. And today was a pretty good example because we have one both above and below. So we have this zone above at 50.92 to 50.95. And I actually traded this same trade in that zone yesterday, but this worked out a little bit easier to show y'all today. So I'm going to replace that entire video with today's. We also have some good support below at 50.75 to 50.67. And again, that's a zone, and that's ending up being a wider zone, which can be a little bit harder to trade. And so I want to show y'all how I manage this. So today I was actually on the live this morning. If y'all want to go look it up, it'll be the February 27th, 2024 live. And what we were looking at this morning, this is the opening candle, and it's marked 9:30 New York time, so that was 8:30 my time. I keep my charts in New York time just because it's a little bit easier to think in that time, especially when you're talking to other traders. So this is when the market opened. And a lot of the time when the market opens, if we're right at a level, I'll consider a buy or sell at that level. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look to sell at these strong levels of resistance and buy at the strong levels of support. I'm less likely to buy or sell a purple level. I'm pretty likely to buy or sell a pink level. When they're close together like this, again, it can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to explain to y'all my thought process on this day today because it really helps put it all in perspective. So when the market opened, we were at this purple level, and I did say there was potential for a short off of this level, but because I didn't see it on the things that I look for confluence and to really set this trade up, I didn't take the trade. I'll be watching for things like the other markets like NASDAQ, Russell, Dow to be moving along with ES. I'll also be looking for the dollar index to be trading inversely. I'll be watching the volume delta and the volume profile. So there's the things that I'm already watching in the market that I'm going to watch when we actually get to a level. Are those things pointing to the trade that I want to take, which in this case would be a reject off of that 87.50 level. Because I didn't have it, I didn't take the trade. The trade ended up working out, and then we came back down right to a pink level. So this was a level to level trade. And I think a lot of people sometimes get confused why I don't take this trade every single time, because it does play out multiple times a day. But because this trade will play out multiple times a day where we're coming into a level, I can wait for the ideal conditions. And maybe that means that I do miss some, but I'm not going to get FOMO because I've done this enough at this point to where I know that if I get this trade 1, 2, 3 times a day and keep doing that every week, I'm going to have 2 or 3 really, really great trades a week. using this. And then I don't have FOMO over missing every single little opportunity, because the whole reason that I started trading in the first place was to have more financial freedom, but also freedom of time. I want to be able to spend my time doing more than sitting in here staring at charts. So we did have the rejection off of this purple resistance level that I didn't take because the market wasn't supporting it at the time. I wish it had, because it ended up being a really great trade, and it came down into this 75 level. Now, at the 75 level, again, I wasn't excited about taking it because I didn't have the market supporting this trade very well. It ended up working out. We could have taken it to this white line, which is VWAP. That would have been a target if I had taken this. But there are a number of reasons that I didn't take it. I didn't have any confluence with any of the indicators or other markets that I was watching. This 75 level had already been tested in pre-market, so I didn't have as much confidence with it holding. And then this other level here, I didn't tell you about this color yet because I don't leave these on my chart. So the pink and purple, those are hourly, daily, weekly, even monthly levels sometimes. So I'll adjust those, but a lot of the times they're going to stay on my chart. When I have an intraday level of interest, I'm going to mark it in a different color. And a lot of the times I choose this magenta because that way I know it's an intraday color, and I might watch it for a day or two, but then it's going to get deleted. I know I can delete that without feeling too bad about losing a level. So this level right here, it's 50.73. I had marked as an intraday level because it was both our overnight low and our pre-market low. So being that it was just below this important 50.75 level and in this zone that I was watching, I went ahead and marked that because I thought it might be an important level, because sometimes we'll come right down to these pre-market levels and then get a little reaction. So on the live, this is 9:30 here when the market opened. I did not take this short and I did not take this long. And again, if I'm going to enter here, this is another thing that I'm looking at. Where's my stop going to go? And in this case, if I'm going to have a stop that's below anything that I think the market could potentially trade to, it's got to be below the 67 level. And that's a pretty sizable stop. The scalp did work. It was the ratio in the math and even visually just seeing, I could see that there wasn't enough meat on the bone for this trade to really fit the criteria that I was looking for. I have lots of traders in the group that'll take my levels and trade every single one because that's their risk profile and it works really great for them. Me personally, I always like the market to come to me and I'll wait there patiently. I don't need to be chasing after it. So that's what I was doing here. Again, even though in hindsight, we got a really great reaction off of this 75 level. I didn't trust it at the time, given what NASDAQ, DXY, the volume profile, or all sorts of things were doing. So and also I didn't like where my stop would be. So I didn't take this trade. I waited. So there's 9:30, there's 10:30, there's 11:30. By this point, I was off on my stream. But I had let everyone know that I was still looking to buy this 50.67 level all day. Like, this was my level. I wanted 50.67. So I'm just being patient. At this point, I just set an alert for this level here, this 73, because I knew that once we get below 75, we were likely to hit 73. And at that point, I need to be paying attention because we're actually getting in the range of my 67 level. So that's what happened at this point. I could have been doing laundry. I could have been sitting out in the sun. It doesn't really matter. The whole point is then I was alerted. The market was coming to me and it was time to potentially take some action. So what I'll do in this situation is put a limit order where I want it to be. Sometimes I'll put that limit order right on that level. And on the pink level, these are my strongest levels. A lot of the times we're pretty likely to get there, especially if it's the first time it's visited. Once these levels get older and they've been more heavily visited, they're a little looser and you have to allow more room. But in this case, this was a nice fresh level. I really liked it. So we can put a limit order right on that level. So I'll put a limit order at 50.67. I've got room down here where there's not anything more important than this level that the market's going to be drawn to. So I can have a stop down here that doesn't bother me and is not super threatened. This would be a fair stop if it got hit down here. So that's what I'll be looking at doing. Putting putting a limit order in right here for this level. All right, it's tagged in at 50.67. So let me kind of explain what's going on here. Now, I've gone ahead and bought a quantity of 5, which is kind of the standard buy that I'll do these days or sell. And this is in ES. I've worked up to this. You probably don't want to start working with 5 mini ESs. This works really, really well on MES, the micro ES contracts. And that's exactly what I started with, is the micros. And the reason that I'm buying 5 is I want to be able to have a core position that's at least half of the trade. So in this case, it'll be 3 that gets taken off really easy. And then I'm going to have the rest of the trade get to run for a higher target. Because here's the deal. The market is pretty likely to move a little bit, and it's less likely to move a lot. I want to be able to capture both trades if possible. So I'm going to go ahead and book the easy money that's just, low-hanging fruit right there after my entry. But then I'm going to let those runners go. That way I'm definitely booking part of the trade and then letting the other part go. Let me show y'all why this works out really, really nicely in just a second. But first, the reason that I do 5 is just mentally, the odd numbers work a little bit easier for this math for me. I always want to take more than half. So if you take 4 contracts, I would still take 3 off at the first target, but then I'm only left with 1 runner. And the reason that I always take at least half is so that those last 2 are very, very unlikely to actually hit their target. So if they end up getting stopped out at break even and I have any slippage, I'm not going to go red on the trade if I was able to book that easy money. So let's see what that looks like. The first thing I need to do is get a stop loss set. I'm using NinjaTrader, which is really nice. I can use their automated trade management brackets so that every time I enter, it's automatically putting a stop loss out there at 5 points. So I'm going to go ahead and show y'all what that looks like. So that stop has plenty of room below the level where it can kind of mess around, tick back down, but not threaten that stop loss too badly. Really, if we're wrong here, we're wrong here, because that would be support, not holding. So I feel pretty good about where that stop loss is. If there's something in the way, a VWAP or another target, I can adjust it, a few ticks in either direction, but I don't want to be moving it a few points. That's too much. That means that my entry's wrong and I need to rethink my entry. But right here, the 5-point stop works great, so I'm just going to leave it. If it didn't work great, of course I would move it. Now the next thing that we want to look for is where we're going to take profits on the bulk of the trade. So this is going to be more than half. It has to be more than half. If I'm taking 5, it needs to be at least 3. So the first target, I have 5-point stop. I'm going to have it just automatically throw out a 5-point target. So there, right there, that's target number 1. That's where I'm going to take off 3 of the 5 contracts that I bought. At this level, I'm going to be able to book a majority of the trade so that it makes it a lot harder for that trade to go against me. I would love it if ES makes a huge run from here, but it's a lot more likely to just make a small run. So that's what I want to book. I'm going to book that right there. I do have that level 73 right above, but what happens is a lot of the times I'm going to take that level where I'm targeting and move my actual order 2 or 3 ticks inside of it. So if I was targeting 73, I might actually target 72.50 or 72.25 anyway. So I'm going to leave that there for now. The second target, I really want to go after that 75 level. If I don't get it, I don't want to go crazy over a couple ticks. So I'm going to have my actual order a couple ticks below that level. So that's for my first runner. That's like the 4th contract. That's the first runner. I'm hoping it can get up to 75. I'm going to protect it before that. As soon as target number 1 hits, I'm going to protect runner number 1 and runner number 2 with a break even stop loss. So we'll see what that looks like in a little bit. But for now, let's figure out where we're going to put target number 3. One of the obvious things I would look for is VWAP, which is right here. But what I would really, really like is a full retracement. This would be a great trade up to here. And what'll happen is if this runner actually gets to run, I'm going to end up trailing the stop, which means I'm going to keep dragging it up to follow price so that it'll be in profit or better and guarantee something nice on that trade, even if it doesn't make the full run. But man, it would be great if we get that full run. So I'm going to put that third target all the way up there. I've got it 2 ticks below that level I had up there. So the level is 50.8750. I'm going to put the target for that runner, that's runner number 2, target number 3, is all the way up there at 50.87. Its stop loss is going to trail. So I made that note on there for y'all. All right, so we've got our targets and we've got our stop loss. And now we can see how this trade plays out. So when we get up to the target number 1, I'm going to sell 3 because that's going to be the bulk of the trade here. Okay, I'm going to pause this here because we were able to sell 3 at the first target, where I actually ended up selling. I'm not able to set the limit brackets the way I do on NinjaTrader here on TradingView, so I had to do this manually. The actual exit was at 50.7250 for the target number 1, where we sold more than half of the trade. So on this trade, I've booked $825, and now I have 2 minis left. And I want to move the stop loss. So my initial stop loss is way down here at 50.62. I don't want that anymore. I'm going to go ahead and move this stop loss. I'm going to adjust it all the way up here so that it's at break even at 50.67. So that now we have 2 minis. There are runners. We have runner number 1, runner number 2 still going here, but the stop loss is at break even. So if price comes back down, it's going to stop those out. We might have some slippage that eats into our $825 of profit, but it's not going to make us go red on the trade. It's super duper. It's almost impossible to go red on this trade at this point. So you're going to have a rough time if you've booked more than half and move your stop to break even of having this trade go against you. I will tell y'all, more times than not, these runners get stopped out. More times than not, you're just going to get those 3, and those last 2 are not really going to end up doing anything. But you need to always be okay with taking profits. And if taking profits on a majority of a position and then letting the rest of it go 0 or hero works for avoiding FOMO, I'm going to do it. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to be looking to sell 1 more up here at 50.7450. Okay, so now we have sold 4 of the 5 minis. So we're at a 4/5 of the position. At this point, we've booked $1,212.50, and we have 1 runner in profit of $337.50. It's actually come down since we hit that second target there, but that's fine. What I'm going to do at this point is go ahead and use this TradingView tool where we can drag our take profit all the way up to here. TradingView doesn't handle the advanced brackets like I'm used to, so I'm going to do it this way. But here's a really cool thing, y'all. If this runner is actually allowed to run the way we want it to, it's going to get 20 points. So that's pretty awesome. The other thing I'm going to do is we don't really want to deal with this stop loss all the way down at break even anymore. So what we can do is start trailing this up. This is where we're going to start trailing the stop. And I want to be pretty conservative with it. I'm going to go ahead and put it in profit a little bit, hopefully. Okay, TradingView won't let me move that stop in profit and replay right now. That's fine. So we'll just consider this our trailing stop loss down here. I'm going to keep it a little bit above break even at this point because I definitely don't want to give up any slippage when we're this far from entry. But I want to give it plenty of room because we're not even halfway to that final target yet. But I am going to leave the take profit on there so that we can see how this runs. And I'm going to speed it up because otherwise it's going to take forever. We'll watch this. So at this point, since we've already booked over $1,200, like it is so relaxing. We don't really have to do much to manage this. We can just watch it run. So right now it's pretty likely that that runner will get stopped out. But if it doesn't, we're going to have a really, really great day. If I want to start trailing the stop loss more, I want price to move away from it. So right now we have a major level at 50.75. When it starts reclaiming this level, like we've done right here, then I'll start looking at moving the stop up again. So we've got this trailing stop for our final runner. And what I'll do is kind of put it just a little below the swing low. I'm just looking at whatever's there. If there was a level there, then I might put it a little below that. But right now we've got that nice swing low. So I'm going to make sure we're out of the way of that swing low if it wants to come back down and test. But again, I want to make sure that I've booked as much profit as I can at this point, even if it comes back down. So here, now we're even above VWAP, and it's kind of creating this bull flag. And at a point here, now we've even broken this bull flag, okay? So at this point, I don't need to have the stop all the way down here. I feel better putting it a little below VWAP. So this way, even if something crazy happens with this flag formation that's going on up here and price action comes back down to VWAP, I'm still giving it a chance to head all the way up to the target. So again, already $1,200 booked. We've got that stop well into profit. So this is going to be a great day no matter what. And this is how I hold these things all day. So it just barely missed the target. That's okay. You can have plenty of patience. There it goes. It sold that last position there, and ended up being a really great day, just taking those level to level trades and being really, really super patient. So, well, there it goes. That trade made over $2,000. Looks like 2,225 total. So it doesn't always work out perfectly like that. If I can get one or two that make that full extension a week, plus every day catching a couple of just these more basic core positions getting filled, then I can create a really consistent and really nice income for myself. And y'all know that you can scale this up with prop firms if you've watched any of my other videos. And if you haven't, get on that. But I will see y'all real soon. I hope that helps. Love y'all.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.